Every ELO has its own formula for success. The higher you go, the more you can sort of rely on your team to make the right calls on their own, at least to some extent. Inversely, the lower you go, the more you'll want to just play for yourself. You may perform at a level well above your rank, but if you're picking super team-oriented champions, you're gonna be leaving things up to fate a little bit too often to consistently climb like you deserve. So today, we'll be talking about the picks you should be going for. I'm Crumbs, and today's topic is the top 10 best low ELO solo carries for Season 13. The champions we'll be listing are simple to play and strong enough to backpack your teammates, while also some of the safer blind picks with little to no bad matchups. Small disclaimer, this video is aimed at Season 13, but since we don't actually have much info on the new patch yet, it could be considered a bit tentative. But usually new season patches aren't actually that big, so we expect the meta to be pretty much the same as it is now. One last thing before we get to the list. I just want to take a minute to remind you that while our meta videos and other content are a great way to pick up some quick tips, if you're super serious about improving, you should head over to ProGuides.com. Our coaching staff is made up of top level players and they're available 24/7, so it's always a good time to stop by. And for just $7.99 a month, you can take your ProGuides experience to the next level. Our premium sub gives you access to all of our courses and bootcamp content, and we'll even throw in a 10% coaching discount. If you're ready to take your gameplay to the next level, trust me, it's worth every penny. Now, let's get on with it. We'll be starting things out in the top lane with Dr. Mundo. While most people call Mundo a tank, he's technically a juggernaut. By definition, juggernauts are champions that are about as durable as a tank while dishing out good damage. Mundo takes both of those to the extreme. On 12/23, Riot said they wanted to help Mundo live up to his unkillable late game fantasy, and they really hit their mark. Honestly, I don't know why they felt the need to do this because he was already doing pretty well. Now they've just made him absolutely broken. Even after the beat patch nerfs, he's still easily the king of top lane. He does a ton of damage early, and if a foe gets baited into a bad fight, the sticking power of his cleaver makes it easy to chase them down for a kill, or at the very least, force them out of lane. Once you get a lead, Mundo is a really hard champion to shut down. His ultimate makes you strong enough that you can often take on 2 or even 3 enemies at the same time, and if the fights are not winnable, you can just simply run away. The other top laner we have is Mordekaiser. Like Mundo, he's another easy to use juggernaut that completely smashes low elo. He spent the entirety of Season 12 as a god tier pick, and I doubt that's gonna change anytime soon. Mord trades out a bit of Mundo's freedom to move around for a lot more damage dealing potential. So that said, Mordekaiser is a lot more kiteable in fights. With that in mind, your summoner choice matters a lot more on Mordekaiser. Everyone loves to default to Flash with TP or Ignite, but trust me, the most valuable summoner for Mord is Ghost. The second summoner is up to you. Flash, TP, Ignite, they're all good options, but Ghost should be a non-negotiable. It allows you to run down a high priority carry, ult them for an easy 1v1, then go to mow down the rest of the team. When Ghost is down, avoid fights like the plague. Even when you're ridiculously fed, you can't do much if you're just being kited to death. Taking a look now at the jungle, the first pick we have is Rammus. The shifting meta has really pushed him up to being completely overpowered at all levels of play. Rammus was actually considered a struggling champion last patch. Riot gave him a hotfix to help with that, but he ended up being so broken on 12/23 that they went back on that, applying a hotfix nerf that reverted the previous buffs while also increasing the cooldown on his W. But it still feels like those changes never actually went live. He's still performing way too well and takes literally no mechanics to play. You pretty much can't mess up his ganks unless you try. Just gank for your laners that either have CC to chain with yours or high burst damage that they can easily land if you lock down their opponent. When it gets to the later parts of the game and you start team fighting, you generally just play Rammus as a diver, not a frontliner. He works way better at being a threat to enemy backliners than just trying to sit in front of his own carries. The other jungler that has pretty much always been somewhere between pretty good and really OP is Warwick. Warwick is kind of like Garen in the sense that he's a very easy to play noob friendly champion, but is also really good all the way up to the top of the ladder. He has a simple to use kit, but it's extremely overtuned. His combination of consistent damage and ridiculous sustain makes him one of the very best 1v1 champions in the game. That means that, laner influence aside, you should be able to roll anyone that tries to contest you at Scuttle. As long as your lanes are pushing, you can even look to invade the enemy jungler and go for kills, a tactic that not many Warwicks abuse for some reason. Now for the mid lane, the first pick we have is Malzahar. A lot of people may turn their nose up at this pick. Malz is one of the lowest interaction champions in mid lane. You pretty much just perma-clear waves and almost never look to actually force trades on your enemy. But post 6, you get one of the best gank setup tools in the game. Malzahar's ultimate makes it insanely easy for a jungler to gank your lane, or for you to roam and gank elsewhere. Try to communicate with your team and use it on cooldown to secure as many free kills as possible. Once it's down, you just go back to clearing waves and waiting on it to come up again. The other mid laner we have for you is Lux. It can be easy to think of Lux as a more passive champion, since a lot of players that play her seem to not have a lot of proactivity. But when used right, Lux is a pretty broken champion with a lot of solo carrying power via playing for picks. In order to do this, you need to do two things. For one, try to establish good vision control, buy a sweeper and ask your support to place wards over walls in the enemy jungle. At some point, your enemies will have to risk wandering over to put down their wards, and you should easily be able to pick up kills when they do. The second thing is to actually build to one-shot. So many Lux players itemize terribly, buying items like Zhonya's and Crown when you should almost never need to. I mean, you're able to dish out your damage from halfway across the screen. Just go full damage and delete your enemies before they can even reach you. Before we get on to our last lane, let's take a quick break and think about today's question of the day. Have you decided what you're gonna main for Season 13? Even though it's not too far away, I actually don't even know what role I'm gonna play, much less which champion. If you've got it a bit more together than me, let me know down in the comments section what you're planning on going with this season. Now, let's get back to our list. Moving things down to the bot lane, the first pick we have for you guys is Nilah. Usually, when a new champion comes out and does really well, people can't help but complain and demand nerfs, and usually, Riot is quick to do so. But no one really talks about Nilah. She's a good champion at all levels of play, but she's especially OP in the lower ranks. In Silver, her win rate is at 54%, making her better than any other carry in bot lane, yet there are 15 other AD carries that get played more than her. The one issue you may think she has is that she gets bullied in lane due to her being a melee champion, but since you itemized into Ravenous Hydra first, she easily sustains through the poke of higher ranged bot laners. Another bot laner that isn't nearly as new, that way more people should be playing, is Karthus. Karthus as a bot lane carry has been around for years now, but despite him having one of the best win rates patch to patch, very few people seem comfortable with swapping from traditional AD carries to a mage like him. I'm not too sure why. Yeah, his playstyle is different, but it's not like it's hard to learn. Mechanically, he's very easy, and honestly, he just feels a lot more rewarding and less stressful to play. You don't need to worry about positioning perfectly and getting peel from your teammates to survive. In fact, dying means you get to put out even more damage as the fight continues on top of your passive. Now, for the other half of bot lane, let's take a look at our two supports. When it comes to carrying as a support, there are a lot of ways to go about it. The first and most literal way to carry is by picking a mage support. Really, the only thing supporty about picking like this is that you set up your AD carry for an easy time in the laning phase. But honestly, isn't that enough? Other than that, what you bring to the table is being an extra carry that does ridiculous amounts of damage in fights while also having some utility via the slow of Rylai's and your ulti grenade. But if you've already tried Heimerdinger and just really don't like his playstyle, consider Brand an almost equally good alternative. Finishing off our list, we've got Amumu. Instead of dealing the damage yourself with him, you're here to set up your allies for some easy kills. In lane, he's a very effective kill lane support with good bursts of damage and lockdown, especially post 6, where you can chain a Q/Q combo for guaranteed kills. As the game goes on, he only gets stronger. His ultimate is disgustingly powerful in teamfights, and when layered with another allies can lead to some free wins via wombo combos. And that wraps things up for our 10 best low elo solo carries for Season 13. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, be sure to subscribe so you never miss out on our meta guides and so you're always in the loop on what the best picks are. Remember to let us know who you plan on maining for Season 13 down in the comment section below. And one last thing, do not forget to check out our Discord in the description box below where you can discuss League further or just hang out and be a part of our community. I can't wait to see you guys back for the next video, but until then, good luck on the Rift, and may the LP gods smile down upon you.